Hello, it's BonBon. BonBon is here. We're doing the Dev Diary thing. Hi to everybody who's going to appear in the chat in their thousands. And hello to you if you're watching this live on Watchback. It's a great thing with YouTube. It's a fantastic thing. So yes, Dev Diary number 8. Can you believe we're up to the 8th one already? It's flying by. I mean, we're, what, 8 weeks into this, and can't be many more than 8 weeks until the launch of the game now. So it's the clock is ticking. The clock is very much ticking. So right, we'll be doing the usual weekly Dev Diary read through. We'll have a little look at the accompanying video. Hi Tuka. We'll have a look at the video. Of course, we'll be playing that on mute. If you want to see the video without the mute, well, you know what to do, don't you? Are we actually live? Hang on a sec, bear with me a second. Well, there you go. My video feed was a few seconds behind. It's fine. I can see we're live. Hey, hi, yes, you're the first one here. It's just you and me. Let's talk about the weather. That's what we do in the UK. We talk about the weather. Right, where was we? We was doing, right, so Dev Diary. Yeah, the 8th one already. We're going to read through it. We'll watch the video because the video is there. We'll have it on mute so that I don't get demonetized for somebody else's music. If it was just audio, then I'm sure there wouldn't be a problem. But there we go. And then we'll read through. Again, a bit like last week, I don't think there's really too much exciting new stuff. I think next week there will be. Next week there'll be plenty to absorb. There are one or two little bits in here which I think is going to split opinion. Thank you, Mr. Motorbike. So one or two bits I think will split opinion, but we'll get to them when we get to them. So anyway, Development Diary number 8, Climate and Seasons, posted by Ivania. God bless Ivania and everybody who sails with her. At 4 p.m. that was European time, 3 p.m. UK time. Hello everyone and welcome to today's Development Diary for Cities Skylines II. Last time we introduced maps and themes, and now we will continue with 2 new and exciting map features, Climate and Seasons. A lot of people will be very excited. A few people might be questioning things that aren't said, if you know what I mean. I think there's a few bits on here that we're going to be able to read between the lines and maybe grumble, because we do like a grumble, okay? But just because it's not said in this Dev Diary doesn't mean it isn't not going to happen, right? Okay. So we'll watch the video. I think there was 1 or 2 bits in the video that I might want to pause and go back to. Not sure you want others' opinions, but I thought this Dev Diary and the climate season things themselves a bit underwhelming. Oh, and listen, first of all, always open to other people's opinions, but I always welcome them, right? Anyway, muted, obviously. Episode 8, Climate and Seasons feature highlights. I'm not going to read everything, but I will try and... have we got closed captions on? We do not. Now we do. So it starts off with basic fluff, right? The weather will be more predictable, right? As each map has a unique climate and reliable seasonal patterns. Good. They are inspired by real world locations. We know that already. So your city's climate will be unique to that place. The climate dictates how each of the 4 seasons looks and feels. As one season gives way to the next, the length of the day will change. The amount of sunshine and cloud cover will too. Temperatures will vary, and so will precipitation, i.e. rain. Why is this so important? Who cares? No, we care. Well, weather will impact your city in different ways. Rainy, snowy, and sun. We're talking about the electricity strain, which we've already covered. Also road maintenance, which has already been covered, and so on. Clear the road with snow plows, which have already been covered. So no new news yet so far, really. But there we go, clearing the snow, and there's no snow on those roads. Fair enough. Hi, half-eaten. Anyway, where were we? Spent their time. Yeah. So, hang on, I've lost where we were. Oh yes, when it rains, people want to stay indoors, right? Okay. Of course, extreme seasonal weather. Ooh, Natural disasters will be covered very shortly in this video. So anyway, disaster control systems, there's no stopping them. The city might experience, this is a heck of a crash, this one. Slippery roads when it's icy, I understand that. And look at that tornado, we have tornadoes. Boom. So yes, lots of weather damage from hail apparently. We'll get to that in a minute. As a city builder, it's up to you to help your city bounce back and so on. For the most part, seasonal changes will be predictable. Good. Winter will run its course and give way to spring just as as night will follow day. The day and night cycle connects to the calendar. When day or night cycle ends, one calendar month will have passed. So every 24 hours, a month of the year will have come and gone. Right, so after 4 cycles, it's time to start all over again. We'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. Citizens of your cities will experience the highs and lows, like the shifting seasons, good times and bad, because cold and all that. Sounds pretty fun. And very nice aesthetics. Very nice aesthetics. Right, so nothing that I really want to go back on, because it is covered fully in the description in the chat. Corn pop. Am I missing something? Is corn pop relevant? I do not know. Still. Right, so let's get a reading, shall we? In Cities Skylines, brief pause, maps had different themes that changed the visual atmosphere and environment to represent different climates. But maps using the same theme would work the same, meaning that 2 boreal cities would experience the same climate or length of day. In Cities Skylines II, motorbike, we have replaced that system with a whole new feature in the form of climates. It brings changing seasons to the game and makes each map a unique gaming experience with its own climate that is based on real world locations, ranging from the Finnish countryside in the north to Brisbane in the south. Climate controls the changing seasons, length of the day and weather patterns, so they match the seasons and latitude of the map. So there we go. This is a great screenshot. I love this. I love it. So again, you're going to get people complaining about the yellow lights. Well, we'll worry about the yellow lights later. All right, okay. There'll be a mod for that, but I think that's a really nice image and showcases the new textures for the water as well. I've got to say, I love the textures for the water. There's still question marks in my mind about how it transitions from water to land, but we'll worry about that when it happens. Bear with me a second. I'm just doing a little checks to make sure we are all good and golden. We are still good and golden. I'm just doing it all on one screen is a bit of a juggle, right? Okay, the game features different types of climates with various characteristics unique to each map. Climates are based on latitude and longitude, resulting in differences in the length of the day and the amount of sunlight, as well as other elements such as temperature range, amount of cloud coverage and precipitation. Those parameters mean all maps will introduce different climates with 4 different seasons. Excuse me. Now, my thought process here is, where were we? I'm liking a lot of this, right? So we've got precipitation, cloud coverage, temperature range, the length of the day and the amount of sunlight. All of these things are really quite interesting in terms of map design. Climates are based on the latitude and longitude as well, which is all interesting. But climates with 4 distinct seasons. Now, I've never been to the tropics, but I'm understanding the tropics don't really have 4 seasons. It's a bit weird when you get to that area. We definitely have 4 seasons in the northern hemisphere. We have 4 in the southern, but when you get close to the middle, the seasons aren't really as such. I mean, it is more tropical. Tropics, right? But anyway, so that'll be interesting to see if there are any tropical style maps, whether or not those are catered for. Climates can be ground into three basic climate types. Climates can be ground into three basic climate types. That's an interesting phrase. A way. I mean, we'll assume it's a typo or something. That's very. I get what they mean. It can be broken down into three different climate types. Right. Okay. That acts as a foundation for each map's unique characteristics. Maps based on a temperate climate have distinct seasonal changes. We might be getting to this in a moment, right? Maps on the temperate climate have distinct seasonal changes, moderate precipitation, and a wide temperature range. While maps with the continental climate type introduce significant annual variations in temperature. Lastly, we have the polar regions, which feature short and cold summer and a long-lasting winter. You may recognise which category a map falls into based on its displayed temperature range, but as climates are customised for each map, you'll experience significant differences between maps that fall into the continental group. So, as that Tuca, 100%. I grew up in Brazil and it was either rainy or hot. But yes, yeah, I get you. So I'm glad you grew up in Brazil for many reasons. First of all, my Portuguese is awful, and if I need somebody to help me, then you are going to be my first port of. Actually, my next door neighbour will be my first port of call, given they're also Brazilian. But there you go, small world. You'll be my second port of call. But yes, so what we're saying here is we have temperate, we have continental. So I'm guessing that is more, if you're doing Central American, Middle USA, or basically anywhere far from the coast would be the thing. And we have polar. Really interestingly, nothing desert and nothing tropical. Maybe that's going to be released as DLC. I've got a very bad feeling about the amount of DLC we're going to be forced to buy. I've got a very, very bad feeling about it. Well, nobody forces you to buy anything, obviously. But if you want to play the game seriously, then you're going to probably need a serious amount of DLC. That said, this hasn't been confirmed, therefore maybe there won't be any more. And maybe modders will be able to do this. Maybe modders will be able to add in different areas, climate types. Anyway, fun fact. Oh, I do like a fun fact. I do hope it's fun. Many maps' climates are based on real-world locations. For example, River Delta is based on Shanghai, and Lakeland on the Finnish city of Savonlinna, maybe? Savolonia. Anyway, in Finland. Now, many maps' climates are based on real-world locations. So is this the... Many maps are, we know, but, I mean, obviously, if a map is based on Shanghai, it's going to be based on the Shanghai climate, I imagine. Possibly, but anyway, it's quite an interesting little thing there. Hi Gary, thinking those would be for the map makers. Well, I mean the map makers are definitely going to be able to set latitude and longitudes. Well, assuming there is a map editor, we've not had it confirmed yet. We know there is an editor, we don't know what's in the editor. 1 day equals 1 month. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I see positives and negatives in that half-eaten. I see positives and negatives. Weather is closely tied to the climate and represents the climate's seasonal changes. Each map features unique weather, which changes with the simulation. You can encounter various intensities of rainy weather. That's interesting. Various drizzle all the way up to monsoon. Well, maybe not monsoon, but there we go. Different cloud coverage, temperature changes, etc. And again, another really nice screenshot. Love that as well. Taken from a boat. Now, I'm assuming this is taken from the bow of the boat. If it does that mean we can go first person view from cars? That'd be interesting. I'd like to see that. Citizens prefer to stay indoors on cold or rainy days and enjoy outdoor activities more than during sunny days. Well, like most of us, I feel. How much did you miss? Not too much, David. Not too much at all. RCN worldwide. We've watched the video, which was, I mean, it was all right. Okay. Repeated a lot of things that we already knew. We're basically, the only thing we've learned so far is there are going to be 3 different climate types. Temperate, continental and polar. No word on desert, no word on tropical or subtropical. So interesting. Very, very interesting. So there we go. Right. Anyway, the weather has gameplay effects. For example, temperature and the amount of rain or sun affect citizens' behaviour when they are deciding if they want to use a park or indoor leisure activities. Citizens prefer indoor activities when the temperature is low or it is raining. Now, I've got to say, this is something that will come into city planning, because if you are rebuilding Helsinki, why I chose Helsinki, I'm not sure. If you're rebuilding Helsinki, you're probably not going to want, you probably want more indoor facilities than just lots and lots of outdoor parks. So yeah, I mean, the city builder, it could, yeah, there will be variation. It's a plus thing. Temperature also realistically affects the city's energy consumption. Again, we're being told about this. With hot weather increasing the energy consumption, but as the city needs air conditioning to keep cool, and in cold weather, the city needs heating, causing energy consumption to rise again. Right. Time and seasons. That means I'll be building in the dark for half an hour. Yeah, now, the reports that I've had, and I've not heard anything official, is that the nighttime is buildable. It's not like Cities Skylines 1, which was horrible to build in at night. Horrible. Apparently, it doesn't actually... you can actually comfortably build at night. You can see it's night, but apparently it's not overwhelmingly gloom filled. Bear with me a second. I'm just going a little bit nuts here with my... Ah, that's okay. I thought there was something wrong with... Sorry, it's okay. My my viewer counter isn't updating. So I had a little look at YouTube and it's telling me how many people are actually watching. But it's fine. It's okay. Right, so yeah, we've got... yeah, so you should... don't now, I've not seen it myself. And looking at this image, this looks like a night view. I've not seen it myself. Looks like a night view. Yeah, you figured that out for yourself. Well done. Anyway, but from what I'm hearing, you can. It's quite comfortable to build at night. We will see. Yeah. Right. So where were we? So we've done temperatures, time and seasons. With both a day and night cycle and seasons at release. With both a day and night cycle and seasons at release, Cities Skylines 2 handles time differently than its predecessor. This is going to cause a lot of debate, and I reckon we'll be covering it in Cities Skylines 2 o'clock this week. One cycle through day and night equals 1 month, and each season lasts about 3 months, with 1 year in the game taking 12 in-game days. The length of the day-night cycle is based on the map's climate and the current season, with nights being longer than the winter during the winter. As the sun sets, the building lights and street lights come on, lighting the way for citizens. So, yeah, 1 day is a month. But if you think about it, City Skylines 1 day was multiple weeks. Only difference here is we know that there is a new mechanic in terms of industries and how everything connects together, and how energy consumption will be higher at night and lower in the day, and traffic moving about will effectively take a month to get to work. That, I think, is going to cause I know, say not difficulties or problems or anything like that. But wait a second. Oh, gee. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to cause problems for anybody. It'll still be playable, but it might stretch the believability of the simulation. You know, I think we want to play the most realistic simulation as is possible, and but then you've got to say, if you're going to put a building up, a building can take years from planning through to completion. So what we want realist, but we also want instant roads and instant buildings. So it's one of those that we have to remember it's a game and a traffic simulator, I guess. So yeah, a few people will be a little bit bothered by some of the by this, but I say it wasn't any better before, and it's going to be slightly different mechanic. I'll catch up with the chat in a second, everybody. All right, we'll read through this one and then I'll catch up with the chat. Seasons affect more than just the amount of sunlight in a day, though. Depending on the climate, temperature changes over the course of the whole year, so does the chance of rain and cloud coverage. During cold months, snow falls and covers the ground of maps with climates that include cold seasons. Which is good, because if you're playing on a map where it wouldn't normally snow, it'll be a little bit annoying, wouldn't it? Where there is snow, or when there is snow, the road maintenance building snowplows take care of the excess snow on the roads, keeping up the road condition to reduce the risk of accidents. The map's location plays an important role when it comes to seasons, as cities located in the southern hemisphere experience the seasons at opposite times of the year compared to the northern hemisphere. Now, there's only one thing with this last sentence that I don't disagree with, but I would scratch my head with the wording. The map's location plays an important role when it comes to seasons, and cities located in the southern hemisphere. Well, we know in the southern hemisphere it's summer when it's winter in the north, and vice versa, or vice versa. But is it an important role? I don't see that it's important. It's a nice little accuracy to include, but how important is it? It's not like you're juggling resources from one hemisphere to another. What you're doing is you're playing in a city that has a summer at a set time of year. It'll just be 6 months different from if you're playing a northern hemisphere or vice versa. So anyway, plays an important role. I don't know about important role, but it's nice that they've included it as an accuracy thing. Right, so right, let's have a little look at the chat. CS1, loved CS1. Yeah, but most of us did or do. Right, inclement weather should also change the Sims travel preferences. Good point, Luigi. Good point. At least where I live, where it rains, everyone who usually bikes or walks jams into cars. Yeah, that's definitely the case. It's definitely the case. I really want snow to add up on the roads. This will be interesting also, because we saw the snowplow earlier, but we didn't actually see it moving any snow. It was snowing, but we didn't see it actually doing anything actual, visual within the game. So yeah, I think it might be interesting. I mean, maybe these bits have still got to be added, or maybe this footage was recorded 2 months ago and it's been added in since, because the game is still in development, and the game will still be in development after it's released. We'll be moaning about bugs, but that's fine. That's fine. Hello, Anapoo. Good to have you along. Hi, Anne. Gary Duck. Would be nice to have the radio announce snowfall warning. That would be a neat way for you to get your street maintenance up and running. Now, do you know what? That's a nice little thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did include something like that, possibly. But yeah, is that nice thought there? Gary. Also, if the schools are closed. Oh, close the schools on a snow day. Oh, I don't know. Is it just the UK? Because you see Canadian kids going to school in like 8 feet of snow. Over here, we get like a frosting and everything closes down. Anyway, another really nice image. Now, this is where I'm gonna have my question mark. I'm gonna raise my question mark at this point, right? Nice image. Do we all agree this is a nice image? I think we do. We can see the snow in the air. We can see the snow lying on the ground. Don't see any snow in the trees. So there is there snow transition on the trees? Or has this snow just started falling? Or I don't know. But also, autumn. When the snow falls, or sorry, when autumn comes, do the leaves fall? Do the leaves change colour? We know the trees grow. The trees growing is a mechanic. And if you get a forest fire, trees will have to regrow. But seeing, we've got a few trees along there that look a little bit strapped to foliage. So maybe all of these are evergreens, conifers maybe, possibly. But yeah, I'm thinking it looks to me like, I mean, look at the background there. Very green, very, very green. I don't reckon there's an awful lot of change in tree foliage through the seasons, but you think there would be. I'm really curious to see whether or not they can build in a mechanic. Again, what do I know about coding? Nothing. But I don't suppose putting in a mechanic that you can add a tone to the tree colours. So leaves are green 1, and over a certain amount of time the colours can change, but then you'd need the same models of the trees but without the leaves on as well. It's going to be interesting to see whether that's included, almost like a viewfinder picture. I've heard of that game. That's a new Let's Play, everybody. Mondays and Thursdays for the foreseeable future. Viewfinder, join me on this channel for that. And also map making live streams. Might even do a little bit tonight. We'll see how it goes. I'm gonna have my dinner first and then maybe go back to map making. Right, anyway, that's my thoughts on the trees. Looking at the trees here in the background, it's very, very green. It's supposedly in the middle of winter by the looks of it. Doesn't look like there's been any loss of foliage, really. Alright, so anyway, I'll catch up with the chat again in a moment. Hope leaves fall. People have to rake them up. That being saying, nice little ideas these. Whether or not they're included, I don't know. Anyway, where were we? Like in Cities Skylines, the game speed is adjustable with 3 speed options to choose from, as well as the option to pause the game at any time. That's always a good thing, especially if the water mechanics are very similar, which we don't know yet. When the game is playing at normal speed, the in-game day is a bit over an hour in real life. At the highest speed, the in-game day is 1/3 of the normal speed in real life. So, put the game on high speed mode. 20 minutes for a day or a month. So, an hour would see a whole season. A full year would pass by in 4 hours. If you're playing with the game at normal speed, it would be a day, a month in an hour, a season in 3 hours, and a year in 12, which isn't crazy fast. It's not crazy fast at all, but it might mean, especially if you're playing a polar map, as they're calling them, that you're going to have 4 or 5 months of snow, or maybe even more. We will see. Anyway, probably evergreen. Could be DJG. Oh, DJ G. Yes, probably evergreen. Possibly. Although, I suspect they don't change yet. Maybe they'll add it in. We'll see. Natural disasters. The fact that it's not mentioned, you see, is a big concern for me. If it was mentioned, well, if it was included, they would mention it. They would mention falling leaves because they'd be proud of it. This is it. They would be so proud of it, they would have to mention it. It's not mentioned, which means I don't think it's in there in the game at all at this point. We'll see. Anyway, natural disasters. Beyond the normal weather phenomenons, Cities Skylines II includes natural disasters, adding random events and challenging gameplay. Disasters can be switched on and off when starting a new game or loading an existing save, that's nice. Loading a save, you don't want to muck around with any more disasters, switch the disasters off. Disasters can affect your city in many ways, and while you can prepare for possible natural disasters with disaster control systems, they can't be avoided completely. On the mild end of the spectrum, disasters might cause traffic accidents that lead to traffic jams and can further affect your city's ability to respond to the disaster. They cause damage to buildings and citizens directly hit by the disaster, which burdens healthcare, death care and rescue services and causes disruptions to the companies or services housed in the affected buildings, which is basically disasters, right? So they're calling like snowfall potential a natural disaster, and I guess lots and lots of snow on the roads is disastrous. Natural disasters are logged into the event journal, which can be found on the right side panel of the main UI. The journal includes past events in chronological order and information about what happened, when it happened, and what outcome the event had. This is going to be very nice. I don't know how many people are going to use the event journal in any way, shape or form, but it's nice to have, rather than it just be something that happened. Just having it catalogued. It's a bit like with Civilization 6, which I play a lot of. You have a timeline, and you can go back and you can look at the timeline. Nobody ever has. In the history of City Skylines, of Civilization, nobody has ever gone back and looked at the timeline and gone, oh, do you remember that time that I discovered coal? Nobody, ever. Anyway, forest fires can happen in all climates, though the risk of a forest fire happening is affected by the precipitation level and temperature. For example, dry weather has a higher risk of forest fires breaking out. Sucking eggs time again. A forest fire near buildings can spread to them, causing building fires and wreaking havoc in the city. It is important to take care of forest fires to prevent harm to the city. Well, that's me not playing a forest game. You can prepare for forest fires by placing fire watch towers on the map. They decrease forest fire probability and firefighters' response time within their range, limiting the fallout if a forest fire should happen. Fire trucks can extinguish a fire when it reaches the road network by placing a firefighting helicopter depot in your city helps to put out the fire in places where fire trucks have no access. So, yep, forest fires. Beware. Event journal. History book for your city. Absolutely, Gerard. Absolutely. I like the idea of it. I just don't see anybody. It'll automatically fill, right? I don't see anybody going back to it and going, oh, remember that one time when we had to close the bridge for half a day so that we could repair the road? Nah, I just don't see it. Anyway, is a forest fire. As forest fires go, it's not the most dramatic, but bless them, we are putting it out before it becomes a problem. Look how far from the city it is. Remember, these maps are much bigger than we even realise, okay? Look at the distance between the forest fire and the city in the background. And our helicopter here is dealing with this from a long way off. That's a bit of a journey, That's a bit of a journey. we have covered map sizes quite a lot on this channel. If you've got any questions on map sizes, have a little look at last week's City Skylines 2 o'clock on this channel, myself and This Old Gamer, and I've covered it in depth. The headline would be, to the best of my reckoning, the new map, including the areas that you can't build on, let's say the fog, out in the fog, I reckon is going to be at least 20 old City Skylines tiles square. 20 up by 20 across, and probably a bit more than that as well. So anyway, so we have got hailstorms. When the weather is cold but not freezing, there is a possibility of a hailstorm occurring. Hailstorms cause physical damage to buildings but do not destroy them. The damaged buildings need to be repaired after the storm, and money and resources for these repairs come from the residents, taking away from means that would normally go into building upkeep and levelling. A hailstorm can cause traffic accidents, which of course interrupts traffic flow. Citizens don't need to evacuate but prefer staying indoors during a hailstorm. Hailstorms are new. I don't know quite how, again, I can only speak from the UK point of view. The damage from a hailstorm in the UK is negligible. I mean, you might possibly get some dislodged roof tiles, possibly. Little bit of very, very minor damage. Could be worse in the other parts of the world. Let me know if that's the case. Yeah, if you know better than I. But I think hailstorm is, I think it's going to be one of those mechanics that's included that isn't necessarily the most realistic, but in terms of gameplay, it'll add a low level problem to deal with. RCN, I still have a lot of map to build on. Already have over 160,000 people. Well, that's pretty decent. But nice add-on maybe for smoke to make some of your sirens to flood the hospitals and clinics. Oh, Sims. So I can't read. Anapu, the devs tell us a lot of things with these Mondays and Thursdays, but I think they also hide a lot of things for us. In October, many people will be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it'll tell us everything, but I think with the in terms of the foliage colours here, I'm pretty sure that if we had trees that are going to change colour or lose the leaves totally, I think it would have been in this image. I don't think it's in the game at this point. That's my instinct, but happy to be wrong. In fact, more than happy to be wrong. Be delighted to be wrong. Have been wrong before. Let's not talk about hexagons, right? I'm going to catch up with the chat in a moment. Let's read tornado, because look, how can we ignore the tornado? Okay, the tornado is the most extreme and natural disaster included in the Cities Skylines II. It affects citizens, vehicles and buildings and can cause serious damage to them as it moves through the city. The buildings can get damaged or even destroyed by the tornado, citizens can get injured or die, and a lot of traffic accidents tend to happen in the area that the tornado hits. The best way to prepare for extreme natural disasters is by placing small and large emergency shelters in your city, so they are easily reachable for the citizens. The early disaster warning system can spot approaching natural disasters and inform citizens earlier to go to the shelters in time to avoid the disaster. The citizens will run to the shelters, and the large emergency shelters feature evacuation buses that are deployed at the same time as the evacuation order. The evacuation buses will plan their path based on population density, prioritising schools, medical clinics and hospitals. This is nice, okay? This last thing here with the evacuation buses is a very nice thing. I like that a lot. Tornado, I mean, if you're going to have natural disasters, you've got to have natural disasters. We don't really get tornadoes again in the UK. We do have do have whirlwinds, but normally it's enough to sort of like stir up a bit of dust and maybe twist some grasses, and that's about it. And they last seconds usually. We don't get the tornadoes as you would see in the Wizard of Oz or anything like that. Ripping up towns. We had that one a couple of years ago in Kentucky, didn't we? Rip through a town. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Yeah, we get nothing like that in the UK. But again, it's a game, suspension of disbelief and all that. And I think I'd rather have a tornado than a tidal wave. So there we are. Let's have a little chat here. So Luigi, bushfires are still going to be so gamey. Yeah. Give me a wind-driven fire fronts that sweep over the land, more or less. Don't stop until the cold front hits and it rains. This is true. Having a couple of helicopters in the air are not going to save Los Angeles, are they? This is what we're thinking. There were hailstones the past few weeks in Italy, Slovenia, and yesterday in Serbia, and the hail balls got as big as golf balls. I did have, back in my teens, I'm a summer baby, and we had hailstones the size of golf balls in the UK. It's not unknown, but it's very, very rare. But if you've been getting them down there, then stay safe, all right? Cars were total loss, houses damaged. Fair enough. Yeah, you meant hailstones. I know what you mean. Hail balls, hailstones. We knew what you meant. Fair enough. Okay. See, this is why we have a chat box to educate me, right? And you guys know as much as I do, if not more, and you usually do. Right. That concludes our development diary, and we hope you enjoyed this look at the weather and seasons. With or without disasters enabled, weather affects your city and its inhabitants, and the map you choose to build your city brings different challenges for you to handle. Which of these features are you most excited about? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Next week, we dive into the nitty-gritty details about your city's economy and production. So I think next week is going to be one not to miss. All right, this week's was a little bit underwhelming. I give you that. But I think next week's one will be a lot more interesting. But yeah, it's what they haven't said as much as what they have said this week. Like, they haven't said about the foliage. I'm not going to harp on about that anymore. And also the day-night cycle is quite interesting. It's going to have its fans, but this I know talking about switching it on and off, I think that's going to affect gameplay way more, because obviously excluding mods in Cities Skylines 1, it didn't make any difference visually whether it was night or day, so you could switch it off. But it will make a difference whether it's night or day in Cities Skylines 2. So people are going to go to work, there'll be a rush hour, which a rush hour will last about a month, and there'll be a rush hour going home, which will last about a month. So yeah, there's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting, I think. Let's have a little look at hi Simon, whichever. Georgism on the rise. Georgism? Okay, gotta go. Coffee's calling. You go and have a coffee. I've got a cold coffee here. It was hot when I made it. It's now lukewarm. Tiles are smaller, but the overall map is bigger. Absolutely correct. But there will be a lot more of them. Right? Think of it like getting a new TV, and the pixels are smaller, but it's the size of a wall, right? And your old TV was the size of a TV. So basically, you get you can get a 4K TV with a bigger screen, or a 1080 TV the size of a. So yeah, the pixels are smaller, the tiles are smaller, but the map is bigger. And anybody that says it isn't, they don't understand it. they need to come and talk to me very quietly, and I'll explain it to them. Or go and watch last week's Cities Skylines 2 o'clock, where I've got some very easy to follow diagrams that explains it very clearly. But yes, the map is bigger, the playable area is bigger, the playable area is smaller than the 81 tiles, so you might argue it's smaller, but the 81 tiles is the entire map unlocked, and if you unlock the entire Cities Skylines 2 map, assuming that is possible, then the Cities Skylines 2 map is way bigger than the 81 tiles. So as a like for like, Cities Skylines 2 is bigger. But on launch, if you're going to include the 81 tile mod from Cities Skylines 1, it will be smaller. But it's not a fair comparison. We will see. If land value becomes the biggest feature, we can have land tax. I think there is going to be some land tax mechanic built in. Would be surprised if there isn't. Citizens living in damaged buildings should be able to have an option to buy insurance to cover their costs. Maybe that'll be built in. Maybe. Or maybe it'll be something that we can build in. That we can... I don't know. It's going to be so much. So much. But yeah, that is it. So let's have a look what we've got coming up. Next week, economy production. Followed by citizen simulation and life path. That's going to be interesting as well. Game progression, which I think is going to be all about your milestones and your development points, I think. Sound and music. I think they're just going to be showcasing the sounds of the traffic being more realistic, that kind of thing, and radio stations. And then the cinematic camera and photo mode, I am really hopeful for, being a YouTuber, because I want to be able to do some nice cinematics to share with my first city build, because I'm going to have to do it live, clearly. It's only one way to go. Right, so I think we're about done, just about. Probably a little bit later on, I'll come back on live again for a little bit of my map building. So if you want to watch me later, feel free. Not promising I'm going to be on later, but I think it's very likely I'll have a bit of time later on to do a bit of map work, and that'll be it. So if anybody's got anything important to say, now's the time to say it. I'm going to have a little sip of my coffee while you tap away, catching up with the slight lag between being live and on YouTube. There's a few seconds lag. Nothing about mods apart from modding has been confirmed. Modding has definitely been confirmed, so don't worry about that. But mods or modding of some description, we've got editors, and there is going to be third party, i.e. us, mods available. In my opinion, says Luigi, any size discussion shouldn't involve mods, because when mods are brought in, where do you draw the line? As any line is going to cut out someone's favourite mod. True. Yeah, you're looking at, yeah, so the like for like, 9 tiles is now the equivalent of about 49 tiles. The start square single tile is about the same size. 9 tiles, which is the vanilla buildable space, is going up to about 49 tiles. The maximum unlockable total of tiles, which is 25, or 5 by 5 as we know, that's the maximum potentially buildable. That's going up to 28 tiles. I'm curious as to why there's got this slight difference between the 441 tiles, which is was it 21 by 21, I think, something like that. And then if you actually have a look at the map itself shows 23 by 23. So there's a little bit of give between the maximum and the total amount of buildable tiles. So yeah, you can talk. You're talking about another tile and a half or something like that on top of the 441. And then if you're comparing the 81 tiles to the total map, you're going from at least 9x9. Right, you're going from 9x9 to at least 20x20 in my estimates. And I suspect it's bigger than that. And that's it. Oh, thanks, Stephen. Always appreciate you being along for these things as well. And I think we're done. So yeah, let's. I don't have any outros or set up for this. So I'm just going to do the usual verbal, and then we'll just cut to black, as they say. So thanks for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing. If you have hit the like button, haven't you? Just checking. Good. Anyway, thanks for doing all of that. I might be back on in an hour or so with a little bit of city building. Map building. So maybe see you for that. But if not, I'll see you again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.